Coffee. Come explore our world of coffee. Established in 2014, DeLuna Coffee is owned and operated by the Lemmix family, Ed, Courtney, and their son Brett. Ed graduated from FSU in 1979, Brett in 2009. Lifelong fans and Florida State boosters, the Lemmixes attend multiple football games every year where you can find them tailgating near the Unconquered statue. Wake up with their midnight shift coffee. It's the perfect breakfast blend. It's a collaboration with the Pensacola Police Department and the Rally Foundation. A percentage of proceeds go to the Rally Foundation of Pensacola, who work to raise awareness, support families with kids fighting cancer, and raise funds for childhood cancer research. Use the promo code WARCHANT15 for a 15% discount. Visit DeLunaCoffee.com. Check out their Facebook and Instagram.
From Tally to Cali,
it's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up! WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee.
Coffee's for closers only.
Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hutchavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant. It is fueled by DeLuna Coffee, DeLunaCoffee.com. Come explore our world of coffee. Got my eyes closed right now, Corey. I'm just really feeling it. Use the promo code WARCHANT15 when you're at DeLunaCoffee.com to save 15% on your purchase. Be a great Christmas item, stocking stuffer. Buy those gift packs we talked about. There's like 4 in there. Keep one for yourself. Give 3 out for stocking stuffers. Maybe give the whole thing away as a gift. Maybe keep the whole thing for yourself. It's DeLuna Coffee. Come explore our world of coffee. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Promo code WARCHANT30. Hit the thumbs up if you're listening to us on YouTube. If you're on an iOS, Apple device, go to the podcast app, 5-star rating and review, please. Corey, we got a lot of questions. But in the spirit of full transparency, we are recording this early so that the big guy, that'd be you, can focus on Game 1 of the World Series. So if you're here for Corey Clark, Game 1, victory, reaction,
right?
Wait for tomorrow, live show. So
I'll add something. I'll add whenever they win the World Series. We will go back and re-record the first 10 minutes.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'll add something. Yeah,
absolutely. We shall do that. All right, Corey. We got so many questions, so I'm going to hop right into it. But I know people want to talk probably about offensive linemen, health, things like that. We're being cautioned against giving up any sort of competitive advantage Florida State has going into this game against Clemson. Again, they're a 10-point underdog. Whatever. Clemson 0-7 this season against the spread. Okay? 0-7. So I don't know this whole get-right thing. I'm not buying it. But I think they'll be fine either way. Not to diminish the play of Devontae Love-Taylor or Dylan Gibbons. But, man, Clemson, this was from Sunday. They got 17 scholarship players that are currently out. And then after Tuesday, 18. Ironically enough, COVID has taken somebody from them. Not like their life, but just their ability to play on Saturday, Corey. I find that mildly ironic.
Sure. Yeah, it's actually their leading rusher. I don't think it's their best rusher. That's still the Shipley kid, but Correct. It's their leading rusher. According to Ira, anyway, I assume that's out there. I assume we're not just speaking outlandishly.
I researched it, yeah.
Yeah, so he's out for COVID protocols. You know how that thing is, man. You saw the Packers, like, they had a defensive coordinator that got that was going to be sitting out the game on Thursday, and now one of their defensive starters has it too. So you never know. You never know what will happen. We're not rooting for anything, but yeah, that's something to monitor as the week progresses.
I think Devontae Adams had it. That great receiver the Packers have. I think he actually was in COVID protocol.
There you go. Yeah.
So, but yeah, the Shipley kid is the more talented of their backfield. He just missed a couple games with injury. He did return to action against Pitt. He and Tyler Davis. Tyler Davis was a longtime Florida State lean. It was felt back in 2018, but he ultimately went to Clemson. I think his tricep, tore one of those muscles. Supposed to be out 8 weeks. I think he came back 6 weeks. So if you're a Clemson fan, I guess you're a little bit excited about the fact they played against Pitt and that maybe they can work themselves into game shape as Florida State approaches. I'm not too overly scared. Only thing I'll talk about before we get to the questions, their game against Pitt, they were up 7-0, and they were, I guess you can say they were driving, although they weren't even over midfield, so I don't know really how much driving they were doing, but Shipley dropped the touchdown, and they all
wide open.
Wait a minute, that's week 7. Figure it out, man. I know happened to Florida State probably affected the entire trajectory of the Jacksonville State game, so I know where they're coming from. But hey, man, that's week 7. Figure it out. Don't be dropping catches that are game changing in week 7.
Well, look,
figure it out.
If Clemson had dropped a touchdown pass in the first or second quarter last year against Pitt, would it have mattered? Would they have been like, oh, well, there goes the game. That was our chance. Like, no, they would have scored 4 plays later. Yeah. Same thing in 19 and 18 and 17. That's just what they did. So, yeah, it says a lot about their offense right now that it's a horrible drop. It is a touchdown. It's schemed up perfectly. It says something, though, that a play like that is like, okay, that's why they lost the game. Good teams overcome stuff like that. Good offenses, I should say. Like, Florida State could not overcome the Keyshawn Helton drop that night because they weren't a good offense. So that's where Clemson is right now. But, yeah, the thing is I thought against Pitt, I think they put up the same number of points. I did think their offense played better against Pitt than it did against Syracuse. Like Syracuse, their only scores came on a great catch. I think the Ross kid made a great catch, and then they had a fake punt where they scored on that drive too. Those were their only 2 touchdown drives, and they couldn't run out the clock. They kept giving Syracuse chances. I thought their offense did look better than it had. I think they scored on their first drive of the game, and they scored on their last drive of the game. So, it was that stuff in the middle that was a little ugly.
How much, though, we mentioned on the show Tuesday was the fact that they couldn't get off the field. Like that team, that defense, they couldn't get off the field against Pitt. And they kind of knew that Pitt was going to run a lot of the time, obviously to bleed as much clock as possible. So I just think, listen, there's evidence that obviously this team isn't – it's probably more so a blip than the end of an era for Clemson, I would think. But I think there's also as much evidence to show that the fear, the anxiety that some of you folks have, that you've voiced it on the tribal council. Yeah, man, don't be scared of this team. Don't be scared. BD08E, he commented on the show from Tuesday, saying this is the first time I think Corey is off. Look at that. All this time you've been throwing a perfect game, Corey. You're finally off. By downplaying the magnitude of this game. He's in full Atlanta Braves sport mode, or full Atlanta sports fan mode on this one. Crack open some champagne too, big guy. Did he see somehow see the future where he knows the Braves lose a World Series already or something? Come on, Clark. FSU, as in Florida State, as in the team that has a combined losing record the past 4.5 years, actually has a chance against the best ACC program over the last 7 years. Optics, narratives, these things matter, he said.
No, absolutely. I think my point was the counter if they don't win. Like, it does not mean that progress has stopped, and it does not mean that you can't still feel pretty good about this team even if it loses up there. Florida State is not in the position where any loss is a horrible Saturday, in my opinion. Just, it isn't. I mean, look, like he just said, what's their record here? It's been more losses than not on Saturdays. If they go out there and account themselves well, lose on a fluke or lose for this reason or that reason, a field goal's blocked or something, if they're in that game in the fourth quarter and they're playing hard and they're going toe-to-toe with a team with a lot more talent than them in that environment, I think that's a step, whether the score ends up being Clemson 20-17 or Florida State 20-17. But I get the alternative. A win would be enormous. I'm just saying a win would be enormous for, like you said, for narrative, for optics, recruiting. I mean, think about that. Last year, Florida State, if they had played at Clemson last year, would have been a 40-point underdog. And now in 1 year, they're a 10-point underdog, and they might just go win the game. Yeah. And if they do that after what's happened to them, what that program has done to them the last 4 years, and I'm including last year when their coach just mocked them and called them cowards, if in 1 year they can turn around and beat that same team, yeah, man, that's enormous. It is a very big game for Florida State. If they win, you can't even put a price tag. You can't even put a gauge on how much that would mean. If they lose, though, it's still not the end of the world. You know what I mean? It still can be an okay day, even in a loss. It was my opinion. But yeah, I would not discredit a win. It would be enormous.
And then Island Chief says team chemistry is everything. Aslan, you see the hardest working player on every team you played on. That's great. It would be better if you could say everyone is rooting for the other guys to outwork each other. Before, I think we had a bunch of guys who thought they were the hardest working player on the team and being okay with that. But how much better is it to say we were the hardest working team in our league?
Yep. Team used to be a team full of Aslans.
Yeah.
Didn't care about anybody else.
Yeah.
I'm the hardest worker.
Right.
Buddy, it's not a good. You want everybody to be as hard working as you. That's the real sign. So yeah, it's not a team of Aslans anymore.
There we go. All right, let's get this started. Seminole life. Wake up! Orange and purple is hideous. Go Noles. Why, oh why, has Zaxby's not gotten a milkshake machine yet? I need my ice cream with my fried food, baby. Actually, I like purple. Purple is the color of royalty. And I actually have a couple of orange shirts.
It's also in your they're both in your palette,
they
right?
Are.
Your
Corey,
color wheel?
See, listen to me. They are.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But together they are a bit odd.
Yeah.
I can't remember the first time I saw them together. I feel it was probably one of those Bowden Bowl games. It's like, ew. Ew.
Yeah, I don't like the purple with the orange. I think it looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
But orange, I mean, and I don't like orange at all. Who likes orange? But I don't. Yeah, you're right. I don't have a problem with purple necessarily. It just doesn't mix well with orange.
So I'm doing this I got to start giving my house a little bit of character, and I got this warm wooden bowl to lighten up my very modern, sleek kitchen. And I had avocados in there, and then I put some clementine oranges on top of them to give my house some color. And I'm like, what if somebody saw this right now? Orange and green. But I would just play it off to be like, oh, it's Fam's homecoming, just supporting the local team.
Right.
So that's
Well
always
said.
be my defense.
Yeah.
FSU Kenny, thoughts with FSU Kenny. I think FSU Kenny didn't used to like me, but he seems to be quite active in getting involved in these threads and stuff. So shout out to you, FSU Kenny. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somebody else. Probably somebody else. Definitely somebody else out there. Thoughts. Injuries happen. There's only so long you can have great quarterback after great quarterback. Many guys are supposed to be the next great player. That does not always happen. Watson, Lawrence, crickets. FSU had Ponder, Manuel, Winston, crickets. Through the last 7 years, Clemson has played FSU's part as the ACC bully. Now they are getting pushed around. The thing that kept Clemson even remotely close to Pitt on Saturday were the referees. That was annoying. It's probably my biggest, all caps, concern. The only team the ACC hierarchy hates worse than Clemson is FSU. If you see the same officiating...
Miami's up there. Don't forget Miami. Miami, they will call some penalties on Miami all the time. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
And they're fine. If you see the same officiating crew that was at the Pitt game, we are screwed. Where's Ron Cherry when you need him? Exclamation point. If not, maybe we will get a fair game. How bad are ACC games when you have to wonder who the officiating crew is? It's everybody hates everybody. I think Ira's slowly. I've bullied him into watching more college football, and even he'll be like, "Yikes!" Like these Pac-12 refs. Yikes!
Well, they're the worst. They are objectively the worst. The Pac-12. It's like they don't even know the rules. They don't quite know what sport they're officiating. It seems like some of the times. Yeah, and I was watching because I was writing about the big UMass win when the Clemson Pitt game was on. I got to go home because it was a noon game, so I was writing from the comfort of my living room. So I had the volume down, but I kept looking up, and there must have been a drive that Pitt had where they got like 4 holds or 4 offensive penalties in 5 plays. Like they were big plays. Like they would be another 21-yard gain down to the 10. Nope, coming back holding. 31-yard run, coming back holding. Now, I didn't see a replay, so we can't always just say that the officials got it wrong. They might have been holding, and they just decided to start calling it. Yeah, look, they're going to be bad calls, right? They're going to be bad calls. You don't give them an excuse. You could make the argument that the first win of the season that Florida State got was because of a referee turning a blind eye to what looked like a hold. Now, Washington was getting hands to the face, but looked like that could have been called a hold or at least a penalty on both guys. So it's worked out all right for Florida State so far. I think your biggest concern is that defense and Brent Venables, and the officials are maybe number 2.
Okay.
But yeah, they're in the spot. They have not. We were talking about this on headlines. They went through 6 straight years. They went from they had the 1 year of Kelly Bryant in the middle, but they went from Deshaun Watson to Trevor Lawrence. I mean, they went to 2 top 10 picks, top 5 picks, 2 all-time great college quarterbacks, essentially back-to-back. That's an incredible run. That's a better run than Florida State had because Jameis and Ponder were great, or at least good. They weren't Deshaun Watson or Trevor Lawrence. Not Jameis. EJ and Ponder were great and good. They weren't Deshaun and Trevor Lawrence.
Or EJ
so it would have been like...
Or EJ and Jameis, you mean?
No, I'm saying EJ and Ponder were both very good quarterbacks at the college level. Okay. They were not Deshaun and Trevor Lawrence caliber.
Yeah.
Clemson had 2 all-timers literally back-to-back. And now they're dealing with bad quarterback play. This guy isn't Malik Henry. He's not torpedoing the program necessarily, but he's not any better than Kelly Bryant right now. Like, this offense looks like that offense that Clemson had in whenever that would have been, 17, I guess, when they had a really good defense. They had some players, but they didn't have a quarterback that could play like that. And that's kind of what they look like now. So they're kind of seeing how the rest of the world has to live.
Yeah,
good for them.
After that drop that Shipley had, I think that might have been a first down. They had like a 3rd and 6 right after it. And, man, he just locked his eyes on his right side the entire time and tried to force this out route in and just had no chance. It was incomplete. Meanwhile, if he would have looked to his left, there was a guy completely wide open. So, like, I need to watch more Clemson games. I am kind of a little bit concerned. Maybe they actually are getting open. Things are there, but this guy doesn't see it. Again, though, I just think if you're not seeing it in mid-October, I mean, shoot, it's November practically. I don't know why you all of a sudden start seeing stuff.
And he did not look good against Syracuse either, at all, really. He looked completely out of sorts, and that is not, as we've seen, not a very good Syracuse defense. They got some guys up front now. They're not easy to run on, but they're not a great defense. I mean, Florida State put up 33. Virginia Tech put up 38. Clemson put up 2 touchdowns on them. So, again, he's just for whatever reason, it hasn't clicked. And you're right. Usually by this time of the season, if it was going to click, it would have clicked by now. And this isn't this guy's first season. Like, he played in some huge games last year and played well. Like, he won them a game. He almost beat Notre Dame, right? Wasn't that last year when he had to fill in for Lawrence?
Yeah, I think it's singular, though. I think he only played that one game, though, I think.
I thought he came in another game, maybe the game before Notre Dame where Trevor Lawrence got hurt. Or maybe Trevor Lawrence...
you're right. No, you're right, yeah.
And they kept showing his dad in the stands, dancing after all of his touchdowns. So, man, he had played and played well. There was a reason they had a lot of confidence in him, and it hasn't clicked. But look, they still have they'll still have the 2 best wide receivers on the field, and it's not close. And they still have that defense. So they are a problem, but they're not an unbeatable problem like we thought they were going to be. Not even close, really.
All right, so he's got 5 questions for us. That was the first.
Oh, my gosh.
About the officiating crew. All
Sorry.
right, let me go. No, you're fat. It's fine. We only got 23 more of these. How many points do you think we score? He says 24. I think 30. I'm crazy.
I say 20.
I'm crazy.
And it might be enough. 20 might be enough, but I'm thinking somewhere in the 17 to 20 range.
Which team wants this more? I think Florida State. Pretty sure Florida State. Yeah.
Yes, but that doesn't mean that, like I said yesterday, that defense plays hungry. That Clemson defense does not ever go through the motions. They are not coached that way. That is not what that culture is. They are going to play hard and physical and fast because it's what they do. So don't expect to see like a lazy catching blocks, not fighting off blocks type of defense, because there's a lot of pride on that side of the ball. So I just because Florida State wants it more, quote unquote, and it probably means more to them, does not mean that it's just going to be, that offense is just going to carve them up.
By the way, DJ Ungalule came in against Boston College the week prior, went 30 of 41 for 342 and 2 scores.
Yeah, and then played Notre Dame?
Yeah,
man. And didn't he throw for 400 against them?
439 and 2 scores, and didn't turn the ball
happened?
over.
Is it just Etienne? Like Etienne not being there is just that's that because it's not like their offensive line was incredible last year. I know they lost some guys and some guys are hurt, but you never look at Clemson's offensive line as like a juggernaut, like a Georgia offensive line. So and they still have they still have the wideouts, right?
They got Justin Ross. That Ladner kid's out though. I think he's supposed to be like their number 2. So they still got Justin Ross. All right, which team wins the Tough-O-Meter battle? Draw? He says Florida State. Does a win at Clemson signal a changing of the guard? No. But it does signal that to Florida State fans, well, it signals to the whole conference that, Florida State's coming. Like this, they're not going to be down forever. If they beat Clemson after starting the season 0-4 and then ripping off 4 in a row, including road wins at Carolina and at Clemson, I can promise you your rivals aren't going to be sleeping easy. They're going to be like, oh, no, that's not a good sign. Much like some of you might have been when that Miami quarterback put up 31 on NC State. Like, oh, hey, that's not good. I didn't like seeing that. All those Miami and Florida fans and Clemson fans will be like, oh, man, maybe this guy really can coach, and Florida State's going to be back here soon. Yeah, I don't know if that extends. I think Manny I don't know how much credit. Manny doesn't get any credit for the offense. The defense looks bad, so that's why he's really in dire straits. But if you look at their schedule, it's crazy. They're 3-4. Wow.
Yeah.
But they lost to
they're
Bama
at Pitt.
and Michigan State. I mean, those are anything embarrassing. They doink it against Virginia, and they put 42 up on North Carolina. So I mean, if this is 2014 and we're going over the quality of loss, they've got some really good losses. Like quality.
Yeah, it's look, they could be 5-2. They could be. I mean, look at their wins though. You know, they have a 1-point win over NC State where the guy kept dropping passes, and
gritty though, Corey.
They won the Appalachian State game on a field goal, right? Like so, it's not like their record is about what they should be.
Yeah. All right, moving along. Next question. Thank you for all those, Kenny. Appreciate you. XDQ004. Wake up, Corey. Don't feel too bad, buddy. I didn't see the finish where Kentucky hit the shot to beat Wisconsin in the Final Four in 2014. I was in the parking lot walking to the car, so don't feel too bad.
Ooh,
I thought Wisconsin beat Kentucky in the Final Four in 2014. Wasn't Kentucky undefeated that year? No, that was like 17 or something. I'm sorry.
That was with those two twins, right? They were undefeated, and it was when what's his name? The Kaminsky was playing for Wisconsin.
Was it 14?
You're right. I don't remember the game. I trust you on it, but see, that's a whole different level there. Like when you leave the game
Corey,
to not watch it anymore.
You left the game.
But I left the game mainly to beat traffic, not because I was too nervous. I thought they were going to lose. It's not like we got to get out of here. I can't watch this anymore. The only reason I couldn't stay in those seats was because of the idiots in front of me.
Okay. Right.
But I didn't leave because my stomach was in knots. Now, I didn't watch on Saturday night because my stomach was in knots, but I don't know that I would leave a game early just because I was so nervous. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I really didn't leave that game too because I was nervous. I left that game too because I assumed they were going to lose. They were down 4-2, and then they didn't score the bottom of the seventh, so they had 6 more outs, and we had a mile and a half to walk and an hour drive home. I'm like, let's just beat the traffic. The Braves are not coming back and winning this game. Not like I can't watch.
Right. That said, although it was UMass, I just love seeing us drive the football. It's not pretty, but it's winning football. By the way, I did find it interesting that Jordan Young on Tuesday after practice talked about the UMass game where like he was encouraged that they went out there and dominated because in a game like that you're supposed to go out there and dominate the team you're playing. And I wonder if that's something – and that's something that we say in the media. I don't know if that's something – is that something – I think that's something a coach says. I don't think that's something that's said in the locker room. Like I don't know if the guys look at the schedule like, man, it's UMass. Like we should beat the hell out of them. It's just kind of like, all right, whatever. This should – we got this one in the bag. I wonder if the coaching staff did challenge them to like, we're gonna win, but we want to look good winning.
Not even that. Like we're gonna stomp on them early.
No.
Let's not let this team hang around. Let's stomp on them early and show them how long a day it's going to be. Travis, just don't fumble the opening kickoff, and we're good. Oh, well, okay, we forgot to tell Travis that. But still, yeah, I mean, I think that is a good sign. I don't know if players talk about it, but I do think coaches – I know Jimbo used to talk about it in 2014. He started that season saying, like, they wanted to go out and dominate.
Attitude of domination.
Attitude of domination, and then it became like an attitude of perseverance and character and everything because they kept winning by 2 points. But I do think coaches think and talk like that. You want to respect your opponent and all that, but behind closed doors, when they're watching film, dang right, you're telling the offensive lineman, like, look, man, you've got to put this guy on his back. He's terrible. Block these guys and let's run for 400 yards. Yeah, I think you challenge them like that.
Quick side note, ESPN on Get Up, they do this kind of you got jacked up, but it's pancakes, offensive lineman. It's not as violent.
Oh, nice.
It's not as savage. And there was one where the Pitt guard pulled and just absolutely wiped out Skalski, the linebacker for Clemson. I mean, just sent him through the air like it was in the Matrix, just levitating. Wow. It was beautiful.
Maybe you'll get a little DLT doing that this weekend or Big Baby.
I think so. Hey, folks, if you're interested in investing in cryptocurrencies but you're not sure where to get started, you're not alone. So check out the Kraken app. With Kraken, you can buy and sell over 50 of the most popular cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Doge, and Ethereum on the go from the palm of your hand. It's so easy to get started. Just download their app, look it up in the App Store, search Kraken, Kraken. create your account. You can invest in minutes, and you can get started with as little as $10 into the crypto game using the Kraken app. Find out yourself why Kraken has been one of the highest rated places to buy crypto for the last 10 years. Visit kraken.com, that's kraken.com/warchant to learn more. XDQ004 continues. We are committing fewer penalties. That is something that has directly impacted us winning. Devontae Love Taylor said as much on his much ballyhooed Trench Talk show. Kudos to Norvell for getting the refs at practice and getting the silly penalties out of the culture. But most importantly, I see accountability. That is great to see because it has a big impact on culture growing forward. As a native South Carolinian, I grew up rooting for the Tigers. That was until I saw Bobby and the Noles for the first time. I am expecting a low-scoring game. Good guys winning 24-21. Fitzgerald with the winner late. Ooh, okay, there we go, Fitzy. Question this week. If you needed a sack to close out a game, who are you choosing? Peter Boulware, Reinhard Wilson, Andre Wadsworth, Brian Burns, DeMarcus Walker, go Noles. I mean, Pete, right? It's got to be Pete.
Pete was the fastest. It was incredible watching him come off the edge. But he was also the lightest. He was like, I would guess he was 225 pounds. I mean, this is 96, so maybe 220 pounds. So if we're talking in today's football, that's like rushing Amari Gaynor around the edge. Now, a little more talent. I got it. My two were either Wadsworth or DeMarcus Walker because they could play in the middle too.
Hey,
like Wadsworth was a nose tackle.
Hey, Peter's senior year, he was listed at 6'5", 255.
Wow.
Yeah.
No wonder he was so good. Never mind. Sorry, Pete.
95, he was listed at 6'5", 238. Man, he got ready for the draft that year. Yeah,
I think 255 is probably a little
generous.
They might have gone a little generous, but okay, 240.
Okay.
I thought he was a little lighter than that, but I'd still go. I like Walker and Wadsworth because they could push you up they could get free up the middle too. They weren't just coming off the edge. I'm sure Renard he's a bull, so he could have maybe done it too. But I like Wadsworth and Walker coming through there just because I think you chip Peter Boulware or you kick him out way wide because he's probably going to do the speed rush. Now, again, tackles in 1996 had zero answers. I think he had like 18 sacks that year. You want to go see something crazy? If you're on that page, Aslan, how many sacks did that 1996 team have as a team? Can you find that real quick?
I don't think I can find it as like a team stat. I'm on his page on Nole Fan though.
I would guess they probably had 60 sacks in one season. That defensive line was ridiculous. And I think Bowler had like 18 on his own. They're all good answers, is what I would say. They're all good answers. I might have talked myself out of it and back into Peter Bowler.
19 and a half he had individually.
And that's crazy. In 12 games.
19 and a half. So I'll take him.
You're probably right. Yeah, I agree. He's the sack master.
I like you going outside the box though. Good stuff, Corey. XDQ.
Makes sense. So I just always remember DeMarcus in the Ole Miss game.
Yeah, man, that was.
And Wadsworth played because they had Boulware and Wilson. They put Wadsworth in the middle on rush downs in '96 before he became the superstar the next year, and he terrorized guards and centers. So he could come at you from a couple different ways too.
Moving on to Naples, it's Mark. Everybody, it's M. Adam CZ. Wake up! Who would have thought a few months ago we would be upset about 10-point spread against Clemson on the road? I'm not that guy. If you're upset about that, I don't know what to tell you people. It sounds about right, but I think Florida State's going to cover it. Florida State's going to win. Something tells me that our guys are going to go up to Clemson this week with a chip on their shoulder and ready to rock. I agree with that. I don't think anyone wants to play FSU right now. Let's calm down, Mark. I like it, Mark. Let's find balance. We are playing to win. That is clear. Jordan Travis is going to run the RPO to perfection, and we are going to give Clemson all they can handle. Let's go, boys. Corey, put some pads on before rolling down that hill. Go Noles.
I don't think most people. I thought it would be like 8 is what I thought the spread would be. Only because of Clemson's offense. Like, they just lost by 10 points to Pitt. And they haven't, like Aslan said, they haven't covered a spread this year. And Florida State is playing better. So I thought maybe, but heck, the last road game, Florida State was underdog by what, 17? Right? To North Carolina?
18 or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and that was to a not all that great, as we knew at the time, North Carolina team. Well, they Now they're favored by 10. They're only an underdog by 10 at Clemson. So against Florida, it might be a pick 'em. The way this thing's going. Against Boston College, they might be favored. Who knows? I feel like Vegas. We were talking about that again on headlines. Like, what must Vegas think the score is going to be? Because the over/unders are like 46.
Yeah.
And they think Clemson's up by a 10-point favorite. So they're looking at like 28-18, 27-17, 30-20, somewhere in that range is what they think. 67, I just found it.
Thank you.
67 sacks.
There we go. I wonder how many pressures they had.
They don't have quarterback hits. That's a stat they didn't have. But yes, probably if you have 67 sacks, would you say you had 200 pressures maybe?
Yeah.
Like 20 a game probably?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Anyway, sorry.
Gator 188, also known as Gator Kirk in some circles. Wake up! Do you believe we will cover the spread this week? Well, that fell right in line perfectly. Almost like we produced it that way. Not sure which FSU team will show up this weekend. Same goes for Clemson, too. Go Noles. What is Clemson's alter ego, though, I ask you, Gator Kirk? Like, they don't have an alter ego. This is what they've done. They don't score more than 20 points. I mean.
And also something to keep an eye on is, like, they have played, before Pitt, they played Syracuse, right?
Yes, correct.
So
Clemson.
they won a game by 3 points on a missed field goal. That was a very physical game. And then that Pitt game was very physical. And now they didn't get a week off in UMass. They had Syracuse at Pitt, barely win, loss, and now this is going to be another. It should be a really physical game. Like they're facing a team that's 13th in the country in rushing. Like they are facing an elite rushing team. It does not mean they're going to run for 300 against Clemson, but this is an attack that can be tough to defend. Did you know that Jashawn Corbin's third in the nation in yards per carry, and Trayshawn Ward is 10th in the nation? That's crazy, right?
Oh, I just had a nightmare. Saw that graphic.
But
I just saw that graphic on the screen where it's like Florida State averages 60 yards per game, and then today, and then the number is much lower than that.
Well, right. So the thought this is what I assume keeps Dillingham up pretty late at night is what's Venables going to do to take away what Florida State does well, and how do you counteract that? But you go into the game, Clemson knows they're about to play a physical game. They know that they have a team coming in that loves to run the ball, that is good at running the ball. Even without an incredible offensive line, they are a good running team, and they are tough to defend on the ground. They just are. Notre Dame couldn't do it 2 years in a row, and it's just they're tough to defend. They got two really good running backs, and they got a quarterback that can run well. It's not an easy offense to prepare for necessarily, as long as you're not just destroying the offensive line. And we think this offensive line is at least decent. It can hold up okay. So with that in mind, isn't it cool as a Florida State fan to know that like there is something you do well that actually keeps up a defensive coordinator at night? Maybe.
Oh, absolutely,
like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? That's cool. Like you're 5th in the country in yards per carry. You're 13th overall in rushing. And you've got two running backs in the top 10 in yards per carry. This is like 95 all over again with some of these stats. Again, without, Busby to Andre Cooper or Kennell to Andre Cooper for 120 yards a game and stuff like that. They don't throw it like 95, but they do run it like 95. And at least you do one thing well. You do one thing that a defensive coordinator has to be like, okay, well, what are we going to do to stop this? Think about the last few times you played Clemson. There was nothing you did well.
No, right.
There was nothing that Venables might have taken the week off. He might have let his son DC that week. I don't know. There was no reason in 17 or 19 or 18 when they played Florida State to worry at all about what that offense was going to do to them because they couldn't do anything. At least this year, you're bringing in an attack, in a physical attack that they have to get prepared for. And maybe they'll be tired because they did play 2 straight physical games. Meanwhile, you played nobody in UMass, which is almost like a nobody, and you showed nothing. Like, not that Aslan could talk about it anyway. He's at practice. I'm not. But look, man, they've had essentially 3 weeks. I'm not saying they were coming up with stuff specifically for Clemson, but you also wouldn't be surprised if they did. They've had 3 weeks to kind of get ready for this game and this guy and this coach.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Clemson's played 2 slobber knockers in a row.
Again, it comes back to me just thinking about how, I mean, I don't even think Clemson's going to be like, we're just going to plaster their wide receivers and then shut down the run game. I don't think they were going to obviously have to put that much attention on slowing down the wide receivers, but Florida State just runs the ball so many different ways, and like they lull you in certain ways and in certain parts of a game with the way they do run the ball. I just don't think for 60 minutes you can contain it. It's crazy. It's crazy, man. I can't believe I'm saying that. Like Alabama, Georgia, Texas A&M, yes. They would. I think they're that much more physical and that much more technically sound up front that Florida State would not have the success they have running the ball, even with Jordan Travis creating that additional threat.
Yes.
But this isn't those
Jordan
teams.
Travis would have to play incredible to move the ball. Well, probably, maybe not Alabama. I don't think Alabama's gotten a great defense. Georgia, A&M probably. Look, man, Notre Dame has a really good defense. And look, they limited Jordan Travis. He ran for 9 yards in that game. So they did well against Jordan Travis, but, Corbin busted one. Ja'Kai Douglas finding that end zone. So, I tend to agree with you when you say something like that, and then I'm like, well, man, Notre Dame's a top 10 defense. Notre Dame is on par. Just look at what they've done this year. They're on par, maybe a little less than Clemson. And you put up 38 against them. So dare to dream. Dare to dream. Maybe something happens.
Sabaxley, gentlemen, it's Clemson week. Wake up! My first season as a season ticket holder was for the 18 season. That was Willie's first year. All I can say now after 3.5 years is that I jinxed FSU football. Right. In order to test my powers, I bought basketball season tickets this year.
Oh no.
Oh, come on.
Why would you do that?
Corey, there's no doubt in my mind you leaving the baseball game in the 7th inning was the only way the Braves were able to win.
Thanks.
These people. I'm just kidding.
I'm telling you.
My wife and I are going to spend this weekend in Atlanta and go over to Clemson Saturday to take in our first road game. We looked into getting World Series tickets, but we don't have a couple grand laying around, so we'll have to settle for watching on TV. Corey, any suggestions for us to watch the World Series and for going to the game Saturday?
Going for the Clemson game. No, just get there. Try to get there a little bit early because it is a one road in town. So if you're trying to get there around 2, it could be kind of crowded. But it's a cool vibe. It's a cool atmosphere. They might not be in the best of moods because their team isn't very good this year by their standards, but I still feel like you'd have a good time. It's a real hangout. It's a real tailgate. Clemson does it up, man. So try to get there early and walk around and enjoy the area, the scene, and all that. I would say, man, like as far as a sports bar, there's a million of them in the Atlanta area. I don't know exactly where he's staying, obviously. You could always still go down to the Battery, even if you don't want to spend the ridiculous sums of money they're asking people to spend. You can still go hang out by the stadium, and they have the TV on the big screen, and there's a big swath of people watching it, a lot of people. It looks like a block party down there watching the game right outside the stadium in real time, so you get to react when Albies hits the grand slam. You'll be there getting to react to it. So, yes, the tickets are outrageous. I've been lucky in my life to have some money, some disposable income, but I did not feel good about what I spent on those tickets, and I did not feel good that people that maybe aren't as lucky as me, but that are huge Braves fans. And I'm not being deflecting. I'm very, very lucky. My job and what my dad was able to accomplish. I was allowed to. I have some money for these things, man. Did you? But like, it's. No, I don't feel good about it.
No, why would you feel bad about it, man? It's family.
Well, but it's like I don't want to. But if you see what these prices are, Aslan.
Well, man,
on like StubHub. I mean, just for standing room to get into the game, standing room is $1,000. To get into the stadium without a seat is $1,000, and that's before, heaven forbid, they come at you with those fees. Good night. So I just don't understand how people do it, and I feel genuinely bad that there are huge Braves fans out there that I guess they put them on their credit cards, but like there's huge Braves fans out there that have no chance to get into something like that because they're priced. And so I tried to get on Ticketmaster to buy the official tickets that are face value essentially. And even those are $825 for outfield seats. I mean, man. So I guess I won't take Brady to a Super Bowl because I can't imagine what those things are.
On the complete opposite spectrum of that, there's tickets going for $14 for the Clemson-Florida State game.
Ooh, that is the complete opposite spectrum.
Yeah, so maybe it won't be, the traffic won't be as bad, but Corey is right. Maybe do leave a little bit early. It is still one road. He continues on, I've never allowed one game or even a few games to be the determining factor of my thoughts and feelings towards Florida State, but I am optimistically cautious about this game. We can win, and it wouldn't take a miracle to do so. Don't do things at the worst time and we can beat them. But like I said earlier, I have watched this team over the last 3.5 years and have seen what they do. We don't play well on the road. We shrink in big moments. Our playmaker quarterback is injury prone. Without him, our offense is anemic and our defense is, well, watch the first half of the Louisville game. However, after watching the game this past week, it was evident that this team is different. It's not because we beat a bad UMass team, but because we did what we were supposed to do to bad teams. I feel that winning 3 or 4 of the last 5 is very obtainable, but I also know we can lose all 5 games just as easy. No matter what happens this week, whether we win or get blown out, I will continue to say go Noles. Guys, I love what you do. You're the best podcast. Corey, my wife, and I will be stopping by for supper Friday night. Be sure to have some Mick Ultras for us.
You got it, man. I'll just leave the door open. My door is actually always open, so I'm just not going to tell. I'm not going to broadcast my address, but just know if you know where Corey Clark lives, that door is always open because I can't ever remember my key. So, also, Aslan, so if somebody, I do leave my front door open when I'm not there. I lock it when I'm in there, but if I'm not there, I leave my front door open because when I'm back and forth. If somebody came to my house in Tallahassee when I wasn't here and opened my door and stole stuff,
yeah,
is it breaking and entering? Or is it just entering? Because it's open. But what's funny is when I tell people this, I tell my friends this all the time or other people when I meet, they're like, wait, you locked the door? Like, aren't you scared that somebody's going to... And I'm like, what? You think somebody walks around neighborhoods checking door handles? Wow. And if it's locked, they're like, nope, this guy's too good for me. Like, I mean, if somebody wants to break into my house, I think they're going to, knowing I'm not here, whether it's locked or unlocked, probably isn't going to be the thing that keeps them at bay.
I'm with you. Yeah, I mean, to take a step further, it's like the whole gun thing for me. I'm like, man, if some guy is out for blood for me, breaking into my house at night with a gun, I don't think their plan is probably a lot better than me rolling out of my bed and scrambling.
To get to your gun safe or get under the. Well, that's why you got to sleep with it under your pillow.
You're right. I'm getting better at that.
Yeah.
Noles MG4, wake up! Hello, fine gentlemen. What a great feeling it is to be on a winning streak. So to answer one of your questions, I think I asked a bunch of questions at the top. If we can't win, I would love to go to the wire or even overtime. I just hope our defense plays as passionate and poised as we have the last 3.5 weeks. Thank you for all what you do. Thank you all for what you do. It is greatly appreciated. P.S. At any time on Saturday, did you say to yourself, wow, this is the offense that we would have been running if Walt Bell was truly calling plays?
It's hard to say. I mean, he was, even as bad as that 18 Florida State offense was, it was never overmatched like this UMass one is. So I don't know what that set is that he's running with the lineman out wide. It clearly didn't work well.
Even Adam Fuller took shots at him. Like, come on, Adam.
Yeah,
nice.
A little bit. Yeah,
play nice.
He's like, yeah, we didn't.
They ran a unique formation, but it really wasn't unique afterwards or something like.
Yeah, he's like it. It was, and they kept running it. They kept going back to it. But no, I mean, it's hard to judge Walt Bell with that kind of talent disparity. It just is. He might be an incredible offensive mind that was under Willie's thumb and couldn't fly, couldn't spread his wings and fly, and now he's at the worst program in the country. But he clearly doesn't recruit that area well because he ain't got no talent at all.
S. Quinn 67, wake up! Basking on our 3-game winning streak. We head to South Carolina looking for another win against a team they thought was a dynasty, but apparently was just a blip.
It's a pretty big blip.
Makes you realize, again, how impressive 14 years in the top 5 really was. Bama isn't even close to it. Well, last year, yeah, because Bama in 19, I don't think, did they finish in the top 5? Because they lost to somebody in the regular season. They lost to LSU.
Look it up, man.
They lost to LSU, and they lost to Auburn.
Lord.
I don't think they finished in the top 5. They might even lost their bowl game. I don't know. I will check it out. Last year, Dabo said it, and I guess he really did mean it. If they start paying players, I will stop coaching. Looks like he stopped coaching.
Yeah.
But he's still taking that paycheck. Let's hope we have even more jokes next week. My question for this week, in your opinion, if riding a bus, rubbing a rock isn't the stupidest pregame tradition, which tradition, celebrated by the media as great, is the worst or dumbest pregame/during game ritual? How about them Noles? Class of 93, S. Quinn 67.
Man, I like I know I'm not supposed to say this. I know what show this is. I like that thing, man. I like the spectacle of them running down that hill and rubbing that rock.
The bus is ridiculous. The camera of
True.
them, the bus is ridiculous.
Yeah,
Going
I
down
don't
the hill's
know.
not-
And it's weird. I didn't even know. It's weird that became a thing. Like that. Hey guys, now we're gonna load up the bus and ride around this stadium, and people are gonna be outside cheering us as we. But it's cool. It builds the anticipation, I guess, just knowing that they're coming to the top of that hill. I have never at all once in my life cared who dotted an I in Ohio.
Oh, we are on the same page. Absolutely. Go on. I'm sorry. That was going to be my answer, but go on. You'll probably say it
No,
better
I mean,
than
I just
would.
you're talking about like Ralphie running out, even Boomer Schooner. That's cool enough, I guess. Now, don't forget Georgia fans singing along to the national anthem. That's one of the all-time great
Yes.
college traditions. I told you guys about that last week.
That's right.
But Florida State, you got Renegade and Osceola going down the hill with the rock. Those are cool. And then you've got dotting an I at Ohio. Acting like that's
Yes.
and what do they say, script Ohio, whatever that means.
I don't even know. I mean,
Doesn't matter.
yeah,
Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
That's the right answer.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it's the right answer. It is. The coming down the hill thing is, it can psych you out, man. It's like, here comes Sherman and the Union Army. It's like, oh gosh, like they're just streaming down this hill at us.
Right.
But you don't have to look at it. You can divert your attention away. That's why I think Osceola and Renegade have the edge, because like you can look away, but you'd have to turn your entire back to the field.
Right.
Or because you can't look up at the Jumbotron because you're going to see it, or if you look straight ahead, you're going to see it. It's like we rub your nose in it. It's like, hey, look, over here. Hey, look at this. Look at this. It's game time. It's game time.
I've told that story the first time I went to Death Valley in '88 for the Punt Rooski, because again, Lucky had an awesome dad. Before the game, we knew that they did that, but we had never seen it. We didn't understand how it worked. But anyway, I remember the Clemson team getting to the top of that hill. Clemson was number 3 in the country, and Dion and Dedrick Dodge and Leroy Butler and those guys are all standing at like the 20-yard line near their sideline, waving, like pointing up to the Clemson guys at the hill, telling them to come on down and get some. It was a really cool scene. I haven't seen a lot of teams do that since, but yeah, Florida State certainly wasn't afraid of that ritual. And when you think about it, man, like, what's Michigan's? What's Oregon's? Yeah. What's USC's? Or Georgia's, we know, is nothing.
What is
Alabama's?
I think Southern Cal, they try to do something Renegade. Osceola.
He plants the sword or something, right?
I think so.
That's a knockoff. But what does Alabama have one?
We don't have to. We're Bama.
Well, that's it's kind of cool that the two, in my opinion, the two best pregame entrances in the sport are in the same division of the ACC, but there's only like 4 or 5 that anybody knows about anyway.
No.
Like Ralphie's probably 3rd on the list. Texas, what do they do? What does A&M do other than that weird yell practice they do on Friday night? They don't do anything.
Well, Michigan runs out like onto midfield because they got that M blue banner. Like,
they have to tap a banner. Yeah, and Notre Dame
you.
smacks a sign as they come out of their locker room, but it's not something the crowd gets to see. So, yeah, man, Florida State and Clemson fans are lucky that they have such world-renowned pregame traditions.
You know what's overrated as well? I think is running through the T. Like for Tennessee, like, okay, cool.
I didn't even know they did that. I'll be honest with you. Didn't even know they did that.
Sweet.
What I like that Tennessee's gotten here lately is just littering the field with bottles. That's more of an in-game tradition, but it's cool, man. It's something different.
I mean, Josh Heupel wearing that orange just looks straight. I mean, just like that. He looks like a Tennessee son, and it's like now he's actually Oklahoman.
Yeah, he fits in though, doesn't he?
He does. They kept it close against Alabama. I kept seeing the score. I wasn't actually seeing the game, but they made Alabama earn that. Speaking of which, Alabama finished 8th after the 2019 season. They were 11-2, but they finished 8th.
Yeah, and I know they've lost a bowl here or there later than that too. I think like what's unique about Florida State, because the 10 wins doesn't mean anything anymore, because I mean, it does. You'd love Florida State to be a 10-win team, but some teams are playing 14 or 15 games. So the Florida State's consecutive 10-win streak, I assume Alabama's reached that or getting very close to it.
Oh, yeah.
But it's finishing in the top 4. It wasn't just the top 5. I think it was the top 4 for 14 straight years. Will never happen again. That's incredible. That's nuts. That will as good as Alabama's been, and they've been unbelievable. That's impossible for them to do. It's been impossible for them to do. And Florida State did it for a decade and a half.
Jimbo Jangles, wake up, you two jagaloons. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure it's said lovingly. With Jordan Travis back to his 2019 running form, the bamboo has sprouted. The backfield is a real three-headed monster deserving of a new nickname. Sean Gone just doesn't quite fit. What, I ask, can feast on bamboo like these backs feast on opposing defenses? I present the Panda Express. I like it. I like it a lot.
I'm really mad that I didn't ever come up with something like that. That's crazy. That's right up my alley. How did I miss Panda Express? It's also a great NIL opportunity for those three guys.
There we go.
That's a national chain, right?
That's right.
They got to have money. Yeah, that's a really good one. Now, to people outside of Florida State's community, you might have to explain, well, what does that mean?
Yeah, a lot of explanation going on.
And then you have to go into Kenny Dillingham talking about a bamboo sprouting, and then so pandas do eat bamboo, right? They don't live in it or sleep on it. They eat it. Right?
I'll check that.
I feel like that's what they do. Just like koala bears eat those eucalyptus leaves, I feel like pandas eat bamboo. Our man knows what he's talking about. Yeah, they feast on bamboo. So that's a really good one.
Yeah, they spend a lot of their day eating, says the World Wildlife Federation. Giant pandas spend 10 to 16 hours a day feeding, mainly on bamboo. What a life!
Man, I didn't know there was that much bamboo out there.
I'm saying, good gosh.
Okay, so yeah, we got. Now, do we give them panda names like Ling Ling and Sing Sing, and or do they keep? Are they still just Sean, Trayshawn, and Jordan?
Yeah, I think they still keep their given name.
Yeah, it's tough. Sean Gone works though. It didn't take off kind of like I wanted. Look at they're the number 3 and number 10 in the country in yards per carry. But yes, Jordan Travis is what kind of he needs to be included too. Yeah. So Panda Express is great.
Jimbo Jangle says Noles 21, the Skalskis 17.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Let's hope, man. Let's hope. And then later that night, the Braves wrap up the World Series.
There we go. Sweep. I mean, you're getting really greedy. Come on. I mean, I think
just sweep them. No drama at all. Just sweep them.
Old Dad's a Nole. Wake up, guys. Aslan, I believe the quote that Walt Bell gave, that his father gave him as a child was, half the people are glad bad things are happening, the other half don't care, but I could be wrong. That's the spirit of the quote. So yeah, the next time Brady's like, like Brady, you're having a bad day, half the people are glad, and the other half don't care.
Yeah, half your parents are glad, the other one doesn't care. Try to pick which one's which.
I'm happy, Old Dad's and Ole goes on to say, that I will be watching the game from Circus Sportsbook in Vegas representing the Garnet and Gold.
Nice.
My question is, what do you two think are a couple of must-haves to win this game outright? Old Dad's and Ole says, mine are win first downs, on offense, win first down, 4 yards at a time, and on defense, make the tackle. I mean, if it's 3rd and 8 and you have guys 3 yards short, don't let him wiggle for a first down. That drives me crazy. Love your guys' work, Old Dad. Okay, good tackling.
Yeah, and that's one thing that Dillingham brought up. I wrote about that on Tuesday. He talked about it on Monday, but I wrote about it on Tuesday about what Clemson does is tackle well. Like he's like, when you get to the 9 yards at their free safety, it's a 9-yard gain. That can't happen. You've got to, he's like some defenses, you get 9 yards up to their free safety, it's a touchdown because you're going to make them miss. Clemson just doesn't give up a lot of plays like that, but they're going to have to. Florida State's going to have to find a way to do that to Clemson. And those running backs are good, so you got yourself, and the quarterback is too. So you got yourself a chance. I think the biggest key to the whole thing for Florida State to have a legitimate shot is you can't lose the turnover battle.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. Yeah,
and you cannot give them the ball. Win the field position battle. Know that it's okay to punt if it's 3rd and 12. You cannot give them a short field. You cannot give that offense some confidence that it'll find the end zone. Make them go if they go the distance, they go the distance, but make them go the distance. And also, this goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway because that's what I do. You can't just have enormous busts. If Justin Ross just makes a play because he's really good, and you're there and he just makes a play, well, that's one thing. But if they got some dude running free in the middle of the field because y'all didn't communicate and didn't read the route correctly, and he just runs down the middle of the field and you give them a 70-yard touchdown, you just can't do that against a struggling offense. Don't give them a reason to get confident.
Say something out of the ordinary happens and Clemson jumps out to like a 17-3 lead in the first quarter. Like, and that's obviously early, so maybe it's a bad example, but I don't think this team would ever be pass first unless it's end of quarter situations. Like, do you think they believe so much in their run game that even if they do fall down early, like, it won't affect their strategy? Like, it'll still be like, we're going to run the ball. That's what we do. Like, we'll get caught up eventually by doing.
You talking about Florida State?
Yeah.
I do. Now, look, you're going to have to hit some passes. You can't be Army. You are going to have to throw the ball and hit them down the field. If you just hit one or two shots, right, and I'm talking about like 25-plus yards down the field through the air, that can change everything. But, yeah, I think Florida State, I mean, this is what you want them to do, right? Like, they go into a game thinking, we do something really well, you see if you can stop it. The problem is Clemson will probably at least early stop it. So how do you counteract that? But yeah, I think that's what Florida State will do, is that you better not get down 10-0 or 14-3 and decide, well, we just got to start throwing it. Because that's not what you do well right now. So you don't have the receivers for it. I think there's a chance this guy could be the quarterback for it, but we don't know that, and that's a really tough situation to put him in. But yeah, I think you've got to ride your three playmakers. Maybe you throw Toafili in there if he found something last Saturday, but you ride your three playmakers in the backfield. That's where your strength is. You can't just say we're going to beat you with Pokey, McClain, and Keyshawn Helton.
So
I don't think that's a recipe.
What would surprise you more, if Clemson scores 30 or Florida State scores 30?
Ooh.
Because, I mean, keep talking about they're going to stop. Like I don't know if Jordan Travis is going to run around crazy like he does and do the Houdini stuff. But I think they're going to be able to run the ball well. And I think they've got so many different ways they can run the ball, and they're comfortable doing it. Again, I don't think they'll be stopped enough for Clemson to make up the deficit.
I'm not trying to couch. Obviously, I'd be surprised if either one did it. I think I'd be more surprised if Florida State did it. Okay. Only because
they've been doing it all year. Clemson hasn't done it at all this year.
But nobody's done it to Clemson's defense.
But what offense have they played? They haven't played any prolific offenses.
They played Georgia when they were healthy, when Clemson was healthy, and Georgia didn't do jack squat to them. But yeah, you would think, Syracuse put up 17 or 14. They should have had more. The kid threw a terrible interception in the red zone, and they missed a field goal. So you could say Syracuse could have had 21 to 24 points in that game. And Jordan Travis is better than that kid. I think he's a better runner than that kid. He's not as fast when he's top speed maybe, but he's a better runner in space than that guy. That guy was terrible against Clemson running the ball. And I think Jordan's a better overall quarterback and thrower than that kid is, and he still put up some points on him. So, yeah, man, I just, I don't know. That's a hard one. I'd be surprised if both did it. It's hard knowing what we know about how they've recruited, even though we've seen everything we've seen, and knowing that Florida State's defense is playing better. It's hard to just that they're going to go on the road and hold Clemson to like 2 touchdowns, something they haven't done in 8 years. But hey, man, it's certainly a possibility. It's not out of the realm of possibility like we thought it was a month ago or a year ago.
All right, let's do 2 more and then get out of here.
All right.
And we still have 14.
Oh, my gosh. All right.
It's a big core. It's a big game. People are excited.
I know. It's cool. I mentioned, I'm not going to keep talking about headlines, but I did mention that today, like the first 30 minutes of that show, it wasn't goofing around or talking about all this, more big picture kind of stuff. It was actually legitimately small picture, detailed, this is how you can beat this team. Like, it's cool to get into that kind of talk again about a specific football game. You know what I mean? That's been a long time since you've wanted to break down an actual football game and what has to happen. You're just hoping they play well and don't embarrass themselves. That's been the thing for the last 3 years. Now it's like, okay, what do you have to do to beat Clemson? Which is crazy to even have that conversation. So it's fun, man. It's cool to be back in this space.
Random_John, greetings, salutations, Aslan and Corey. Following up on your request for a brief introduction on my new wife, which, by the way, shout out Random_John. You got married last Saturday, right?
Nice,
Congrats,
man. Nice.
That's right. There we go. The lady who made me a lucky man on Saturday is a beautiful woman who grew up in Cincinnati. She is a forensic psychologist who works mostly with people who are incompetent to proceed to trial, plea, or are found not guilty by reason of insanity. Oof. Golly, man, that's like patience. That's yeoman's work. Her job is very interesting, and I applaud her because I know I do not have the fortitude to do what she does. But then again, she is an amazing woman. I believe you. I believe you on that. Now on to our Noles. What was said at halftime of the Louisville game? Since halftime, our Noles have been a whole other team. I'm still trying to determine which team is really us. Was it the first 4 games or the last 3? I think it's the last 3, man. I absolutely think it's the last 3.
You are what you are now, right?
Yeah.
Not what you were then. You are what you are now.
Also, and listen, man, the first 4 games, they looked good against Notre Dame. You know, they weren't horrible against Wake Forest. They weren't that good against Wake Forest.
It was the turnovers, and then your quarterback just taking such a silly, stupid shot at the end of that game, at the end of that half for no reason. But yeah, and look, man, Wake Forest is good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It might turn out that the first half of this schedule was harder than the second half. Like, Louisville's not an embarrassment. You know, Louisville beat UCF when UCF still had their quarterback. I don't know what are they, 4-2 now?
Louisville scores, man. Yeah, Louisville, that's the thing, too. I mean, I know the first half was just an absolute abomination, but that's pretty much where they hover around. Like, Louisville scores like 28 to 38 points every Saturday, it seems.
So, I mean, again, there's no embarrassment in losing to 3 of those teams. And look, the Louisville game, you outplayed them the final 31 minutes. It's that first 29 minutes left a lot to be desired. But yeah, I don't know what changed. It's hard. It's hard. Fuller will tell you that he's found 5 guys in the secondary and he's just rolling with them. And there's not as much interchangeability. There's not, if that's a word, there's not as much substitution. He's got 5. Jamie Robinson is now at safety. Noles has earned that right at slot corner. And so you've gotten better at both those spots, don't you think? Like, Noles is better at slot corner than Jamie Robinson was, and Jamie Robinson is better at safety than the guys that they were putting out there. So you've improved at 2 corners. Jarian Jones has gotten healthy. Brownlee's, decent to pretty good. You just feel like, and they're communicating well. So you haven't seen those crazy busts because you've got guys that are experienced not just playing the game, but playing the game together, and that seems to have helped. But why that changed midway through a game after they were on the way to giving up 62 points? No idea, but it did. We're all happier for it.
Also, what do our Noles have to do to make sure Jordan Travis keeps up his 30 points per game against Clemson? Can it actually be done? Drink the Luna, eat Zaxby, subscribe to Warchant, go Noles. It's a good list.
Yes. Yeah, man, they're not. So they are third in the country in scoring defense. By the way, Georgia's averaging 6 points, giving up 6 points a game. Number 2 is like 14. And I think Clemson is third at like 14.5. Nobody has scored more than 20 points against them.
You're right. Yeah, Clemson's tie with Cincinnati for third. Michigan second, Georgia first.
But when you look at the total numbers and the rushing numbers, Clemson's still good, but they're not top 5 good. They're probably 30th-ish in total defense, just yards allowed. And they're also around that mark in rushing defense.
37th in total defense, allowing 336 yards per game, and they're allowing 120 on the ground, which is 29th.
Yeah, so, I almost nailed that, right?
Not
even looking at it.
Look at you.
And ESPN doesn't rank them, which is just goofy. They don't put a number. I was looking at ESPN earlier when I was doing my story, and they don't even put a number by the rank. They just list the teams, and you have to do the counting yourself to be like, oh, that's 6 down, that's
really?
9 down.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's just goofy. So, now one thing you have to keep in mind is Clemson's offense has been so bad that the defense has been on the field a lot. So yards per play, they're probably still right up there. It's still pretty good. But what it tells you is that Clemson is giving up yards on the ground or otherwise. 330 is still a really good number, but it's not 230. It's not Georgia. This isn't impenetrable. What you have to do is when you get inside the red zone, you're going to have to make some special plays, man. You're just going to have to, because they tighten it up in there. And like Dillingham talked about on Monday, and Norvell for that matter, when you get a chance to make a big play, like if it's open, Jordan, you got to hit him, man. And you probably you need to hit them. You don't need to lead them to the point where you miss those 40 yards because you overthrow them. But if you underthrow them to the point where they come back and can grab them, you know what I mean? Like, so instead of a 70-yard touchdown, it's a 50-yard gain, like the one he threw to Helton against North Carolina. He saw it. It was a good throw, but it let the defender get back in the game, back in the play and tackle him. You need to go ahead and make those touchdowns. Like, we were, like if Trayshawn Ward breaks a 50-yard run, go ahead and get there in the end zone, big guy. Don't get hauled down at the 7 because it's really hard to score on them in the red zone. Probably. It's going to be very, very hard. So when you get your opportunities, take advantage. But they are not an all-time, unbelievable, incredible defense where you have no chance to move the ball on them. You will move the ball on them some. You just got to play the situations well. And they've been doing that here lately. So hopefully that keeps up.
Yeah, on Tuesday, the one rep they do at the end of period 10, I think it is, it's end of 11 on 11. They just do that one red zone play from, inside the 5. Defense won that snap. But, again, hey, good. I don't want to see the offense win all the time. So
right.
Balance.
Right.
All right, last one. Pratt Knoll, Alabama. Keep it light, he says, pretty much. Wake up, watch an Arkansas game, and much of my surprise, Warren Thompson was actually making plays.
Yeah.
Adam Fuller, 1-year extension, ? He currently is graded out at 60.9 right now.
What are his numbers? Do you have his numbers?
I was going to try to see who's like the highest graded Florida State guy, but I can pull it up, no problem. I wonder if you think Texas Tech's actually going to go after Art Briles?
Man, I just think that's no. I mean, they do things weird in Lubbock and in Texas in general, so maybe, but it's so out of the way that maybe they think people wouldn't care. But
I get Sonny Lubbock or whatever the Lubbock kid guy at SMU. I mean, his dad used to be the dude at Lubbock, at Texas Tech. Anyhow, Warren Thompson, 13 catches, 206 and 2 scores. One of them though was like a game-tying touchdown against Ole Miss on the road. But 13.
Yeah, on fourth down, right? It was fourth down to send it to overtime, like late in the game.
Yeah.
Man. Those aren't incredible numbers, but averaging 18 or 17 yards a catch or whatever that is, you could use that here. For whatever reason, it just never clicked here. He also called out his coach before a practice one day, or liked a tweet. I don't remember who did it. Was it DJ that called out Norvell? And Tamarian Terry and Warren Thompson liked it, or was it the other way around?
It was a blur. I know that Warren got kicked out of practice when Willie was around here, so it wasn't just this staff, but
and his mom went on Facebook and ripped Willie and the coaching staff, and then he got here. Then Norvell got here, and I remember there was some sort of social media. You're right; it all runs together. Where Warren Thompson seemed to be taking shots at his coach.
Did apologize though. He did apologize in another subsequent tweet or post. But you're right.
But it didn't work. So I don't know why it didn't work here. I'm telling you, the guy has some real ability. We'll see if he can make it stick in Arkansas. And no, I would not. You're definitely not giving him an extension. He's still got one more year left on his contract. Adam Fuller.
Can't be lame ducking him though, man.
No. I mean, I'm talking about right now, like in the middle of the season.
Yeah,
like if they turn out these next 5 games and give up 17 a game, or 20 or something like that, and they win 3 or 4 of them, yeah, sure, give him a 1-year extension. I guess. What's he gonna do? Not coach? Is Adam Fuller in the position where he's like, you either give me that 1-year extension or I'm walking? Don't you think they'd be like, well, cool, then we won't owe you that money and we'll get it to somebody else? Like, I don't think he has a ton of leverage there. I don't think you need to hitch your wagon to him quite yet. But it would be cool, man, if this defense played as well as it's been playing. And because I like him, I like being around him. I like his musk. I like his scent. But no, seriously, I do like him. I like him as a human being, and I like the way he answers questions. He's cool to deal with, and I hope his defense keeps playing like this.
They are currently 73rd right now in total defense, Florida State.
How, man? What's that, a 30?
In scoring defense.
That's a 30.
It's average. It's average. That's just get to the 60s. Get to the 60s.
Yeah, they're 30. That's a 35 spot jump since 36 spot jump since last year.
And you're about to play an anemic offense, so.
Right? It's just, how about that? It's just going to go up. You playing Clemson? It's going to go up. You should be top 60 after this week.
What a time to be alive! All right, that's a wrap for us. We'll be back later today with a live show. By the way, Corey, do you guys play Wednesday too? I don't know.
That's right, a live show. Yeah, man, of course. So we'll have to do that right around 7, 6. We'll figure that out. When do we normally do it? 6?
Yeah, but we've been doing them later, like 8:30, and then everybody's been
we can't do that.
Getting
So
really
we'll have to do it
drunk
around
and throwing money
before
at
the
us.
show. We'll do it before the show.
All right. Check out our website. It's called warchant.com. We'll let you know what time we're doing the live show. Yeah, enjoy. I hope that victory treated you well on Tuesday night, Corey, by the way.
I appreciate it, man. It felt great to get that first one out of the way.
He's Corey. I'm Mazon. Thank you for listening to Wake Up War Chant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee. Stay tuned to War Chant TV live, 1 to 3 p.m. Jeff Cameron Show. Come explore our world of coffee. DeLuna Coffee features over 24 different blends. DeLuna's unique roasts can be delivered ground finely for drip coffee makers, coarse for the craft crowd, untouched as a whole bean, or even in convenient K-Cups. Founded in 2014 by the Lemmix family, Ed and Brett are FSU alums and boosters who are extending a special offer to all listeners. Use the promo code WARCHANT15 for a 15% discount. Visit DeLunaCoffee.com and check out their Facebook and Instagram.